Hey, future bestsellers, thanks so much for watching. I'm Lisa Daly, best-selling, traditionally published author of 8 self-help and fiction books. And by the end of this video, you will know exactly how to write a best-selling self-help book. Let's do it. Tip number 1, be an expert or just look like one. Both publishers and readers are going to want to know that you actually know what you're talking about if they're going to publish or read your book. And the way to establish yourself as an expert is pretty simple. One way to do this is to get quoted in the media as an expert. Another way is to build a large following on social media. If you have a job where you have some level of expertise, you're a teacher or professor or a public speaker or a motivational coach, you already have all the expert status you need to actually publish a book. And it doesn't have to be phenomenal. You don't have to be Dr. Phil to write a book. You can just be a psychologist in a normal practice or an organizer who, a professional organizer who has, 10 clients. You just have to have some sort of background in whatever it is that you are wanting to write a nonfiction self-help book about. Tip number 2, build or have a platform. Now, a platform is basically your way of connecting with an audience on a large scale. If you are trying to sell your book to a major publisher, they're going to want to know that you have the ability, the proven ability, to reach large numbers of readers who will run out and go buy your book on its release day. And that's always a great thing. That's a really good way to start with a book. Lots of people running out to buy it. Yeah. Having a platform is more and more important to publishers. It's harder and harder for them to sell books. And one of the things that they want to know is that you are going to be doing a lot of the heavy lifting, which seems very unfair. I know. It seems like if they take a big chunk of the money, they should help you promote it. And they will. They will help you promote it, but they really want to know that you have the ability to reach readers, to speak to your audience on your own. And it's important for you to start doing that, whether you want to self-publish your book or whether you want to get it traditionally published. You have to be able to reach the people that you are writing your book for. Now, if you are a speaker who speaks to hundreds or thousands of people every week, month, year, that's a platform. If you are the person who just won, the Food Network's latest cooking competition, you have a platform. If you have 100,000 followers on Instagram or YouTube or anywhere else, you have a platform. If you don't have a platform, that's okay. You can build one. Tip number 3, clearly communicate the benefit to the reader in the title of your book. In the case of my book, Stop Getting Dumped, obviously the clear benefit to the reader is that if you read this book, you will not be crying your eyes out in a tub of Ben & Jerry's on Friday night. You will find true and lasting love and happily ever after. At the very least, you will not be dumped all the time. You will not continue being dumped. Come back! So, clear benefit communicated in the headline. Okay, so the next book I have here, The 4-Hour Workweek. So the promise of this book is that if you read it, you will learn everything you need to know to work 4 hours a week, escape your cubicle hell, and live a fantastic and happy life. Example number 3, The End of Stress, which I highly recommend. This book tells you that if you read the book, Mr. Don Joseph Goey will teach you how to get rid of all of the misery and stress in your life. And finally, you are a badass at making money. Yes, you are. Jen Sincero tells you that you can make lots and lots of money if only you will read her book. So the reader knows right away what they're getting when they purchase this book. And this is probably one of the most important things, because while a publisher will not want to publish you necessarily if you don't have a great platform, if you have a big idea like this one and a great title, they'll get over it. Tip number 4, your book should have a high concept, big idea. Now, ideally, this would be something that would be communicated in your title. The 4-Hour Workweek is a really good example of this. The big concept behind this is that you could actually be wealthy just by working 4 hours a week if you follow the steps in this book. A good friend of mine, Teresa Tapp, wrote a book several years ago called Fit and Fabulous in 15 Minutes. And her concept was that all you have to exercise every day in order to be healthy and in phenomenal shape and have an amazing body, which I will say she did, and she was like in her 60s. All you need to do is exercise for 15 minutes a day, which is a really big promise, and yet she could definitely back it up. So a high concept, big concept book is really going to be something that will help you to become a best-selling author. And in fact, most best-selling self-help books do in fact have a big concept and an awesome title. So in order to sell to a major publisher, you're going to need 3 things. The first thing you're going to need is a detailed outline of everything you plan to put in the book. And just from personal experience, I can tell you, if you have some pithy chapter titles, that can really go a long way in communicating what the book is about. The second thing you're going to need are a couple, 2 to 4 sample chapters. The great thing about being a first-time published author with a self-help book versus being a first-time published author with a novel is that you don't have to write the whole book to sell it if you are writing a nonfiction book. So one of the things that you're going to need is a couple of sample chapters, but you will not need to write the entire book if you are pitching a self-help book to publishers. And thing number 3 that you're going to need is a pretty detailed proposal. And a proposal is basically a marketing plan. It tells what your platform is, how you intend to market the book, whether or not you're going to spend any part or all of your advance to market the book, your plans for touring, etc. And you don't want to go into really crazy detail. And I'll actually talk about how to write how to write a fantastic book proposal in a future video. But if you're a self-help author, especially if you're a business author, basically it's a marketing plan. Tip number 6. Self-help books generally range from about 60,000 words to about 100,000 words, but shorter actually sells just as well as longer does. This book right here, 4-Hour Workweek, so probably about 75,000 words. Right? And just look at it and tell. My first self-help book was 20,000 words. And actually, of all my books, this book has been the best-selling. 20,000 words, you can read it in like 2.5 hours. Generally, publishers want you to come in at the 60 to 75,000 range for self-help books. But if you decide to self-publish your self-help book, let me just tell you, shorter sells just as well. And actually, sometimes shorter sells better. Tip number 7, consider self-publishing if you can sell a ton of books on your own. And the reason for that is that you will make a bunch more money. Like, make it rain. If you decide to traditionally publish, make sure, if you are a speaker, that your contract includes a significant discount for any copies that you sell at your own events. So make sure that your author copies have a fantastic discount. And the reason for that is because even if you just get a 50% discount, you're going to be making 10, 15 extra bucks on the book that you would normally make a couple dollars on. Tip number 8, if you want to hit the USA Today bestseller list, you are going to need to make sure that your book is for sale in at least 2 retail outlets, as in Amazon, Barnes & Noble, any of the indie Powell's, etc. And the reason for that is because the USA Today bestseller list does not want to be the Amazon bestseller list. So it's great if you want to put all of your eggs in the Amazon basket and just drive all your sales to Amazon, and you hit the Amazon bestseller list. Well, oh, hallelujah, that's awesome, and you will sell a crap ton of books. You will. But you will not hit the USA Today bestseller list anymore because now they require at least 2 outlets. Tip number 9, hire a ghostwriter if you have more money than time. This is something that a lot of self-help authors do, especially business self-help authors, but anybody who has a large business and a large platform and wants to write a book but doesn't have the time to write a book, a lot of those types of authors will work, they still want their name on the front of the book and they still want it to be their words. A lot of those writers will hire a ghostwriter or a collaborator. I'm not going to go into too much detail about that. If you have questions about that, how to find a ghostwriter or collaborator, what to look for, etc. This is something I actually have a lot of experience with. So on the other side as the ghost. So if you have questions about that, feel free to give me a shout out in the comments. If there are enough of you who want to know, or if there's just one of you who wants to know, I will be sure to put out a future video on that. All right. Tip number 10, if this is your first book, consider hiring an editor to give your proposal and your sample chapters and your outline a little polish, just like that, or to give it a little polish before you submit to a literary agent. The same thing is true if you are publishing on your own. You want to make sure that somebody has a good look at it and spots all of the errors that you will not be spotting in your own work. Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, please hit like, subscribe, and ding, 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 ding that little bell so you'll be notified every time I post new videos. I will be posting new writing videos on Mondays, Wednesdays, and sometimes Fridays. I hope you enjoy this, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me in the comments section. Thanks for tuning in. Get back to work. Take 57. And I forgot what the tip was.